Okay, welcome everyone to the March 2015 Clean Slate Club celebration call. This call happens at 5 p.m. on the last day of every single month. Today is March 31st, 2015, and my name is John Pyron, and I'm the founder of this call. And it was April of last year, so we got this is our 12th month. This is our final month, and next month we will be celebrating 1 year as doing this call. So we have officially 12 calls now under our belt. I started this process last year because back in 1992, a guy named Clark Broom told me, he said, "You know what, John, if you really want to succeed in business and you want to consistently improve your results, then what I want you to do is I want you to sit down after everything is said and done in your business, when you've done every single thing that you can do to accomplish the goals for the month, when the time has ran out on you, I want you to sit down and I want you to evaluate how you did, number one, in every area of your life. And then I want you to think of one thing, just one thing in each one of the important areas of your life that you can do in the next month. I want you to draw a line in the sand, celebrate what you accomplished, go into next month with a clean slate, go out and celebrate with your wife, have a great time, and then the next day you can just hit the ground running." And I got to tell you, that success principle has served me very, very well. And I got to thinking last year, it's like, you know what, I'm going to do this exercise and this process anyways. Why don't I create a call, a group, if you will, where we can celebrate each other's wins at the end of the month. We can talk about some great ideas that we can implement in the next month, and then invite a really good, solid, quality individual as our guest speaker to really have them just share their golden nuggets. And tonight's call is extra special because this guy, I've watched this guy over the last year and what he's done in Sacramento here, and I've just been following his work, and he's just a phenomenal giver, phenomenal speaker. His name is Steve Napolitan. And I'm excited to have him here. And so before I introduce Steve, I want to share with you a couple of things, and that is, okay, so March is now 5 o'clock on the Pacific Coast, and for those of you that are in Hawaii or dialing in from other countries live or listening to the recording, it's not quite the end of the day yet there. But since we're calling from California, pretty much business is over in my world. And how did you do? You know, how did you do in the month of March? And what I want you to do is I want you to go back and I want you to evaluate in the key areas that are important to you. So, you know, maybe it's faith, maybe it's fitness, maybe it's family, maybe it's finances, maybe it's your business or your job. You know, sit down and take stock. Okay, what did you accomplish in the month of March? What are the key accomplishments that you had? Did you give it your all? Did you leave it all on the table? One of the new authors I've been following, a guy named Rory Vaden. He wrote the New York Times best-selling book, Take the Stairs. And he was also the runner-up world speaker at the World Championships for Toastmasters. He was the runner-up in 2007. And in his book, he talks about, the fact that he participated in the contest, and over 30,000 people every year pursue that Grand Champion prize. And so what happens is they do a series of speeches all throughout the year, and they compete amongst 30,000 people, and then it all culminates in one venue where there's thousands of people watching. They got 7 minutes to give it their all, to give the best speech of their life. And some of these speakers spend enormous amounts of time and energy practicing their speech for that one moment in time. And the first time Roy spoke, he didn't quite make it. And so he went out the following year and he just practiced even more and gave it even more effort and did more speeches. And ended up making it back to the Grand Championship and came in as runner-up. And one of the things he shares in that book is that, you know what, everybody else was applauding. They're like, man, way to go, you're second, you're runner-up. But in his mind, it was just a huge, huge defeat. And he said, you know, coming off stage, he felt just destroyed. I mean, he had literally poured every single ounce of energy he had into making it and being in number one. And he said, you know what, about 15 minutes later, half hour later, as he was reflecting, a big peace came over him. And he said, you know what, I gave it everything I had. I literally can look myself in the mirror and say I gave it every single thing I had. I left it all out there. And because of that, you know what, I really don't have any regrets. I can honestly say I'm very proud of myself in that, you know what, I gave it my best. And you know what, if that's you in the month of March, bravo, man. Congratulations. If you're right-handed, take your right hand. If you're left-handed, take your left hand. Pat yourself on the back. Congratulate. Great job. And you know what? There's also some of you that are on the live call or the recording that you know you could have done more. You literally could have done more in the month of March. I can honestly look myself in the mirror, and I can tell you right now, I could have done more in the month of March. To be honest, there are some areas that I fell short on. But you know what? Here's the cool thing. Here's the good thing. Tomorrow it's a brand new month, right? We get a brand new month. We get a brand new month and a brand new quarter, and I can't think of a better speaker to end this month with and to bring in a brand new month and a brand new quarter other than my friend Steve Napolitan. Steve is an award-winning marketer. Steve spends times with entrepreneurs, C-level executives, and consultants who are spending time and money on their marketing and having a problem of not gaining consistent results. Steve helps his clients reach millions more, literally in traffic, impressions, and most importantly, revenue. He's an international speaker. He's worked with Fortune 500 companies such as Apple, Intel, Charles Schwab, and Nestle. Ultimately, Steve's going to help you achieve business growth while achieving the lifestyle you desire. And here tonight on our Clean Slate Club call, please welcome to the call Steve Napolitan. Steve, are you there? So, Steve, if you're muted, *6 will bring you live on the call.
I think I'm here, right?
Oh, look at you. There you are, man.
I am. I'm smart enough to use a phone.
Hey, man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real well. And thanks for having me on the call. I really love the idea of the clean slate and what you're doing. And my mentors as well have always told me, if you take time, a little bit of time at the end of each week and even a little bit more time at the end of each month, look at what you did, what could you have done? Like John was just saying, I was listening to you here. What can you do more of? What did you do really well? Celebrate the success. Look where you can improve, and then boom, you got a new month. You could start clean and go at it. So I love it. I love the principle of this call. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, my pleasure, buddy. So now where are you calling from right now?
Actually, I'm in Northern California, probably not far from you. I'm in Roseville, California.
Awesome. Well, we have the club's grown this month. We're over 1,000 people now, and last month we had about 845 people. And when you look at the demographics, it's spread all throughout, probably about 10 different countries. And we have people from all walks of life, but every single person has a desire to perform at a higher level, really step up their game. And when you and I were talking, one of the things that really impresses me about you and what has attracted me to you is that, you and I have very similar interests, and that is, putting out our best out there, literally giving our best content away for free and attracting people to us so we can really take it to a deeper level with them and help them perform at a high level. And so when you and I were talking about this call, we talked on the phone. You said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And my response was, "Well, do you remember what my response was?"
I think you said, I might not get an exact word for it, but you said, "I'm busier than a one-armed paper hanger or a door hanger," or something like that.
I'm busier than a one-armed paper hanger, man. And you and I have grown close enough in a relationship. What was your response to me?
Well, first I asked, "Hey, do you mind if I give you a little coaching on that?" And then you said, "Sure, I'm always looking to improve." And then I said, "Look at changing that word busy to productive." And because words become, and our mind doesn't know the difference. So if you're telling people you're busy, your mind is also acknowledging that you're busy. You're going to find yourself feeling more busy. And so for you, it's a feeling, which I wanted to talk about in tonight's call. But then also, you're also letting other people know that you're busy, and they might think in the back of their mind, "Hey, John's busy, I better not bother him." And then that's opportunity lost because they might not call you. So it's twofold.
Yeah, and I was I tell you what, man, I was so appreciative, number one, that you cared enough to say something. And number two, that, you felt that, we'd grown close enough for you to say it. And then number three is that you have confidence enough in your own self to be able to say something like that. Because a lot of people, they struggle in that. And one of the things I'm excited about your topic tonight is that the words that we say to ourselves, the words that we say to others, it's very, very powerful. And so, what words win?
Well, the words that win is going to be a mix. I mean, for the first thing, you want let's phrase it this way. What should you do? The number one thing you want to take away from this call right now is to notice your words. The first step in improving your mindset is watching the words that come out of your mouth. Here's what you want to write down. Our language becomes. Our language becomes. And I'm not the first person to say this. I mean, even going back to one of the first books that really hit me while I was in college was Think and Grow Rich. And it talks a lot about mindset and thinking and figuring out the right words to say, creating affirmations and all these things. We want the specific words. And those are like at specific moments, right? So if you have an affirmation, you might say it in the morning, you might say it at night. But then all day long, you're actually influencing your subconscious all day long. So every time you say something, if you get into habits of saying, like that's why I was asking, talking to John about saying busy, because a lot of people will say that. John's not alone, and I've also had John, just to give John a little credit, that's the first time I actually even heard him say that to me. He said other things when I'm like, how are you doing? He'd tell me something else. So I know it's not his only, but I do talk to people, and that's their go-to answer. You say how they're doing, they're like busy. And they say that, and they're saying it all day long. How many people do they interact with? And they say that. Your subconscious is now going to make sure that you know you're busy. And I want to get a little bit into psychology here because part of your mind actually is a filter. And what that filter does, because just one thing before I teach this is that the conscious mind actually can think about 6 to 9 things, 5 to 9 things I think most of us average about 6. So some of the best conscious minds can think about 9 things at the same time, which is not a normal. Most of us are about 6. The subconscious can actually process millions of pieces of information per second, like over 1 million things. And this is happening right now while you're on this call. The majority of your concentration, hopefully, is on John and my voice. And there are other things happening around you. At your desk, there might be someone walking by. If you're still at your desk, maybe you got home already and the kids are in the background. Maybe you have your window open and you hear some birds chirping or some, all those things your subconscious is actually taking in, but it's supplying what's most important to you, or what it thinks, and this is the key word, what it thinks is most important. And here's an example of this. Have you ever seen a car, like a certain color car or a certain car that you've never seen before, and you're like, oh, wow, I've never seen that, and you take notice of it, and then you see it 5 more times that day or that week, and you're like, man, I guess it's not that abnormal. What happened was your mind always saw that car, but it didn't put it as a priority. So the words that we say and the things that we notice, our mind is following it, even though we don't notice it. And that's
what a
powerful
concept. I mean, you're absolutely right. When you told me that day, you said, hey, don't use that word busy. I'll be honest, what happened was I started noticing everyone that would say, I'm busy. My mind just kicked into it, and literally by that one comment that you made and pointed it out, every time somebody has asked me a question, how are you, since then, my go-to answer has been, if I was any better, Steve, it would probably be illegal. And one of the things I'm really resonant with now is the word illegal is kind of a negative word. And so I've replaced it literally with what you've said is you know what? This day has been absolutely awesome. It's been very, very productive. How's your day? And so, I'm sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to interject that.
Oh, no, it's okay.
It's very
totally
powerful.
In line. Yeah, it's, and you're exactly right, John. That's why I'm very particular about what I pick. I was thinking about certain words that because even if you just say awesome, just even that one word, most people don't say that. They're like, I'm doing okay. And when people say that, I'm like, well, okay is better than bad, right? And then they put a smile on their face. They're like, yeah, you're right, it is better than bad. I'm just changing people's state of mind wherever I go. And even just saying I'm awesome, is, incredible. Just using words like that, it's not the average person. Most people say, I'm doing okay. There's more. But those of you that are on this call, you're taking time to be on this call means that you're taking your life to the next level. So I can assume that just that you're taking time to learn more and be on this call. And for that matter, then we're going to be above average. So in order to do that, let your language be above average. Go for those words of excitement and watch your life. Now by just saying that, how are things going? Awesome. Your life and your mind is going to start finding the awesome things. They're like, Steve, you're totally right. Here's the thing. Your mind wants to prove you right. So if you say it's a terrible day, it's going to show you everything that's terrible. See, that's terrible. Then it's like, Steve, you're right. It's terrible. Steve, there it is. But then if you flip that and you're saying it's awesome, oh, today's been great, look for the things to be grateful in, and your mind will actually find more of it. Just try this. If you don't believe me, just try. Just like John did, he started to notice a difference. And, my friends and I, we've come – actually, one of my good friends, Tommy Boris, is one that I think originated this, but then we went and now we have a group of us, and any of you can join me in this group. We call it the 5-minute wallow. So you have 5 minutes. If there's something bad happens to you, you have 5 minutes to wallow in it, 5 minutes to figure out what you could have done better, like assess the situation and then move on. If it goes past 5 minutes, you're now consuming your life with this negative energy rather than doing it. And the way to transition out is to find 5 things you're grateful of. And it's even better if you can find something grateful from the situation. But if you can't, then find something else that you're grateful for in that day and change your state. And if it's still difficult, then dance, listen to music, do something else that will change your state. It's always good to, like movies have theme music, so if there's a certain song that pumps you up, you should just keep it on your phone. Like download it as an MP3, have it on your phone. When you have to have a 5-minute wallow or you need to change your state, then you can turn that song on for 3 or 4 minutes, whatever that song is, take a break and change your state. And that this is going to change your life. I can promise you that. Just this little lesson right now has made, I can't tell you, John, like tremendous difference in my life. And the last point on this part of it is that to just notice the words. So you asked me what are the best words. That I don't know. Like, what is the best words for you? So that's something to think about. So what do you want your day to be like? You can actually start to design your life and your day by using the words that you choose. So if I want to have an awesome day, I'm going to say, today's an awesome day. Like, wake up and just say it to yourself. Just start bringing the words into your life that you want, and you will start to have it. Because the mind doesn't know the difference between imagining and having it happen. So one quick story. There's and I forget the track and field coach, but he was an Olympic track and field coach. And maybe some of you heard this story, but they actually took half the track and field team and they brought them indoors and they connected them to sensor equipment on their body, and they had them visualize, like close their mind, like close their eyes, a form of meditation, and visualize themselves running the race. Then the other half of the team, they physically were on the track every day practicing. And this happened for a week. And the reason they had them on sensors, they wanted to see how the body reacted to the meditation, the visualization. And the muscles were firing as if they were on the track. Because, again, the mind doesn't know the difference. So it was firing those nerves, firing towards those muscles as they were imagining themselves run the race. Then at the end of the week, they ran a race against the two groups, the group that just visualized and the group that actually practiced every day. And guess which team won, John?
The ones that had a sharp mental game.
The visualization. They ran the race perfectly all week. Because when you imagine it, right, why not imagine it perfect? So they imagined winning the race perfectly every time, and they actually did better, and they didn't work out that whole week. So that was part of the rules. They weren't allowed to go practice the whole week. They practiced in their mind versus the other. Now, if you did that for a long period of time, you would have muscle loss and all that. So I'm not saying it's a long-term strategy for that, but it just proves the point that the mind doesn't know the difference, and in fact, you can even practice it more perfectly. So hopefully that helps you answer that question, John. Like, pick the words that you want to become, and that's why I said at the beginning of the call, our language becomes. That word right there, that statement could change your life.
Our language, I'm going to write that down, yeah. Our language becomes. No, I love it, man. And you hit the nail on the head. It's like, if you look at all the, the top performing athletes in the world, even Walt Disney, right? We all know who Walt Disney is, the inventor, the founder of Disneyland. When you go back and read his autobiography, when you read anything about him, he visualized that entire thing in his mind before they ever even broke ground in Anaheim. It was already completed in his mind, and it's the case in all the people. You think about anybody that you know that has succeeded or accomplished anything of great magnitude, it happened in their mind before it ever happened in real life. And so you and I are both coaches. We help a lot of people. And, you probably relate to this is, one of the very first things I do with any client is, I can give them how-to all day long. I can solve their problem almost immediately. But you know what? If they really wanted to solve their problem, if that was really important enough to them, we all have a good friend named Google, right? We all have a good friend named YouTube. There's pretty much a YouTube video or a link or something on every single how-to thing we ever want to learn on this planet. What people lack most of is their why-to, their vision, their vision of where they want to go. And, you know, one of the things I do a lot of with clients at the very beginning of the relationship is helping them get very clear on where they want to go. And so I would imagine even in your own practice, you spend quite a bit of time up front with the client helping them get resonated on where they're going. Now, you've done a lot. I mean, you've accomplished a lot all over the world. So why is visualization so critical to business success?
Well, the visualization is what backs the language that I was just talking about. So if you know, from audio and pictures, moving pictures, visualization, think of the impact it has on your life. Just even when you watch a movie or when you hear a song or even when you smell something. Like if you ever smelled something, you're like, oh, that reminds me of grandma's house. You know, it's like those things are so loaded in our brain that it's very powerful and it can drag you to a memory. Well, let's flip that. So we have certain sounds, certain smells that immediately link us back to something from our past. Well, you can do that for your future. You can start designing your future, and your mind doesn't know it. It will make it a reality. It will start saying, "Oh, you want that?" So just as my own story, as I started learning to meditate, and for those of you on the call that haven't meditated before, and even if I heard some people say, well, I pray, well, and that's awesome for you to do, but you also want to go beyond that. A meditation where it goes beyond, for me, is bringing in that visualization, where you actually visualize what you want as if it's happening. Like put a future you into a movie, like create a movie or a picture in your mind of what you want. So if you want to live on the beach, which that's one of the things that I love to do, be around the beach and living on the beach, and I meditated about that, and then I ended up living in Sydney. I thought when I meditated, I'll be honest, I was thinking about Orange County and some of the beaches I knew down there. That was part of my visualization. And then I ended up getting a place in Sydney on Manly Beach, and if anybody knows that beach, it's an amazing beach. And I was basically half a minute walk down to the beach from my place. I had views from my windows of the beach, and I ran on that beach or went out and put my feet in the sand almost every day. And I swear to you, when I walked into the apartment when the property manager was showing it to me when I went to Sydney, I almost fell down because I looked out the window and it was almost my scene from my meditation. I kid you not, I don't know how the mind does it, but I'm still a school of psychology, and this comes back to what you were bringing up, John, about helping lots of people. I never went to school for psychology. I didn't even go to school for marketing. I actually went to film school, and I started using my talents of telling stories to do marketing. And then from there, as we started winning awards and making millions of dollars for our clients, people asked me to speak and teach. And when I started doing that, I was taking tactics and exact systems that I knew worked, that I deployed my own self, and they worked. And then I had students deploy them, and they worked. And then I'd get another student take the same system and not have it work. And that's what shifted me, like, why is that happening? And that's how my school of psychology started. I had to tap into the mind of those individuals, help them overcome what's stopping themselves internally so that they could take what I know and run with it. And that's why all of this is even more important. I would even say, I would come out and say the first thing you need to do is clean up your mindset, but no one would buy that course. And I've tested it, believe me. Like, people think, oh, my mindset is fine. I don't need it. I'm good. I'm solid, brother. Woo, right? And then
attend the workshop on mindset. All of a sudden you have crickets, right?
Yeah, 100%, right? But if I say capture more clients, which that's one of my classes, capturing clients, and I've done this by finding the words, coming back to words, what are the words that my clients are attracted to? But then I still have to teach them mindset. So it's I bring them in, And in order for them to I can tell them all the tactics to capture clients, but I still have to help them with mindset. So I know that was kind of like a multi-tiered little lesson right there. But, the key points are taking your language, letting it become, visualize what you want. So I guess what I could do is give a quick tip. How I started in meditation, I only started with 10 minutes. Now I average about 30 minutes a day, and I do it first thing in the morning. It's like the first thing besides maybe going to the restroom. It's drink some water and then meditate right away. And I visualize. I start out, number one, what am I grateful for? At least 5 things. And it's not robotic. It's not like the same 5 things every day. I pull from what am I thankful for that day, or what am I thankful for from the day before. And sometimes different people come in and out of my life, like different friendships, and then I'll just be grateful and express my gratitude for that friendship. And then I go into what do I want from the day, that specific day. And typically, like the night before, the end of the previous day, I'll look at my meetings. I kind of know what I'm going to be dealing with that day. So if I'm working with certain clients, I'll visualize myself helping them. I'll visualize myself, finding all the creativity and wisdom to offer to that client. So I'll literally have like a little mini visualization. And sometimes it gets my creative mind going, and I come up with new ideas for clients right there in my meditation. I come out of my meditation, I take notes, and then I bring new ideas to my clients. Because here's the thing, sometimes we don't quiet our mind enough to even listen to ourselves. A lot of times you know the answer to your own problems, but if you would just take a minute in solitude, you would actually be able to discover that your subconscious knows more than you think. And then the third and last thing is then I do a big picture visualization, something a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. What do you want? And then visualize yourself actually having it. So step into that future person and see through their eyes, breathe through their lungs, and walk around. So if you want a new house, or you want to live by the beach, or live in a forest, or go on these amazing trips to Europe, or whatever you want, then actually do it. Make a mini movie of you in your mind, and if you practice this every day, I promise you start to see results. Your mind will find the how. Sometimes you don't know the how, but you know what you want. So focus on that every day, and that's going to make a huge difference in your. So I know it's a little different than I think what you're asking, like how important visualization is. So I think from the couple stories I've told, you guys get the picture. And the best thing you can do is just test it out. Just start with 10 minutes every morning. Give yourself some time and really focus on what you want from that day and what you want a year from now, and see over the course of a week, 2 weeks. I mean, if you did it for the whole month of April and then you reflect back on this next call, so you come on the Clean Slate call next month and then reflect on how your life is different by adding that 10 minutes of meditation. And I can almost guarantee if you do it, you'll see a difference in your life.
Man, that is that was one of the questions I wrote down is, okay, what are the steps that you go through to meditate? And thanks so much for sharing that. And you know what? It's let me ask a question that because I know with the background that I grew up with, and I've done a tremendous amount of great work with rewriting my family tree for the future. But I'm also aware that, there are some people that are either on the live call or that are going to listen to this recording that, they hear that, they hear, you got to meditate, you got to visualize, but I got to tell you, man, you know what? We're brought into this world, and there's really nothing wrong. You want to meet the perfect salesperson, just go hang out with a 2-year-old for, a couple of minutes. And that is the perfect definition of a salesperson. There is no fear, no concept of no. No fear at all. But yet, we live in such a society that is geared towards beating people down, that sort of thing. And a lot of times, I got to tell you, man, over the last 7 months, actually I think about 8 months now, I completely unplugged from talk news radio, completely unplugged. I don't watch the news. I don't do any of that. And, it took about 2 or 3 months to really cleanse my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to tell you, man, it's I wouldn't go back. I mean, I've got such a different view of the future in the world, and it really helps me maintain my mindset. So here's the question. Here's the reason I'm sharing this is, what can you say to somebody that might be on the live call or listen to the recording that, the world's gotten a hold of them over the years? Maybe it's the 20-year-old or 30-year-old or 40 or 50 or 60-year-old, and they're like, you know what? How do I start? I've got all this past, right? We all have this big baggage that we tend to beat our own butt better than anybody else, right? So what is a step that somebody can take? Tomorrow's April 1, right? What is a step that somebody can take tonight, tomorrow, to really just shake that backpack of heavy stuff off their shoulders and really just start it fresh? What would you say to that person?
Well, thanks, John. And this question, there's a few things I would do, and I'll break it down as much step by step as I can. But I also want to share a philosophy and piggyback on what you just said, John, is that, it's crazy when we grow up, we're telling all the kids to be a superstar. You want to do that, go do it. We even encourage the kids, right? Like, do what you want. And you're right, they're fearless. And I have 3 little ones, and, and you're right, they sell us on more stuff than we sell others on. They're just great, right? Yeah. And then here's what happens. We become an adult, and we share those dreams, and then they're shot down, right? Like, oh, yeah, you better figure out a real job. You better figure something out to make a paycheck. And we're, as adults, we squash our dreams. But when you talk to a kid, you're like, shoot for the stars, son. And then and this literally happened in my family. I remember my grandfather always said, do what you love and the money will come, Steve. He used to say that. Then when I graduated high school, he said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to be a filmmaker, Grandpa. And he said, oh, well, you better get that out of your system now and then find a good job. And I called him on it.
It's the same guy, right?
Right, same guy. That's what I'm talking. And I told him, I said, Grandpa, you told him to do it. You always say this. And he said, you're right, Stephen. He said, you know what? I didn't do that. So he said, you'll be a better man if you do go live your dreams, son. And it was like a moment. And he was a tough guy, like Grandpa, right? Like you wouldn't want a whooping from him. He was, and so for him to have that moment with me was special, and basically called it out, like be a bigger man than me and go make that happen. And it's because of the world that's around us. And so the thing that I want, there's a couple steps I'm going to say for those of you that are looking for that breakthrough. How do I break out of this consciousness that you're in now, that you might be beating yourself up or you might not be having what you want? And the first thing that I always teach is when you're in school, and this all comes back to society that we're living in, when you're in school, what happens when you copy? You get in trouble. You could get expelled, right? All these things, right? They don't want to, they really influence us. No copying, no copying. And in fact, what happens when you copy a millionaire or a billionaire? You can become a millionaire or a billionaire, right? This is, and I'm not saying to plagiarize or any of those things, but I'm saying to model. So the first step, and I've gotten opportunities to speak to the youth. And I was a young entrepreneur at one point. I still actually, in comparison to some people, I'm still young in the game. And I now people ask me, like, what would you tell your younger self? And and one person specifically said, tell me 2 words what you would tell to your younger self if you had the opportunity. And right away I blurted out, get mentors. Get mentors, the most important thing. The first 10 years plus of being an entrepreneur, I kept trying to do it on my own. And I would run into wall after wall. And luckily I was resilient. I would come to work the next day with a different saw and doing this and figuring out. And I still struggled the whole way. And when I first got a mentor finally, and it wasn't on my own will, someone dragged me to meet this guy. And I finally, I saw right away that he knew way more than me, and that I could pay him to be a mentor. And it's a big difference. I want to point out right now that I wasn't someone that just tried to figure out completely on my own. I would take other business and entrepreneurs out to dinner and try to soak up as much as I could. But it was the moment that I actually wrote a check and then every month paid someone to be my coach. And that day I wrote a check for $8,000 to get some courses and mentorship. And it was a lot of money for me at that point. Even though I had already grown my company a good size, my net profit was struggling. So to just drop $8,000 was a big deal. But I will never look back now. I have 3 mentors right now. That first year, I doubled my net profit, and I was able to have more time with my family. And that's the thing as entrepreneurs, we want freedom. Well, you want to be able to do it with systems so that you can actually have that freedom, because otherwise you keep working. So for the first step, here's the first step. Find someone that has or has done what you want. And latch on. Go ask them if they'll be your mentor and pay them or trade with work. Like go work for free for them. Do something so that you can grab their knowledge. You're going to way fast forward. I'll tell you, it was like my mentor told me. I was there breaking that wall down for 10 years. And every time I broke the wall down, there was another wall behind it. And my mentor walked in our first meeting. He said, Steve, there's a door right over there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a door over there. I had to go over there, physically open the door. I'm like, oh, my gosh, there's a door. When did they put that door in? And he said, Steve, it's been there the whole time, Steve. And I said, you're kidding me, because we have our blinders on. We can't see it. You need someone from the outside to look in.
Yeah.
And then the second part is whatever step that they have you do, you've got to make it sustainable for you. And what I mean by that, it all comes down to daily action. So you get a mentor to help guide you, to be the rudder on your ship, and then you still have to row every day. And then you decide, am I going to row 5? Am I going to do 5 rows? Am I going to do 50 rows? How fast do you want to get to the beach across the way and jump out with your arms in the air in victory? And the way to do that is I always look at where do I want to be a year from now, then divide that by 12 so that I can see what do I need to accomplish every month. So it's this simple. Look at where do you want to be by December 31st, 2015. What kind of income do you want? How many clients do you want? Whatever measurement you do for success, whatever success is for you, put down those components. Then divide that by the number of months. So here we are. We finished the first quarter. So not only today is today the last day of March, but today is the last day of the first quarter. So you have 3 quarters to go out and monster through 2015. So that means that you have 9 months left. So take whatever you want, divide it by 9. Now you know an average of what you need to accomplish every month. And then I take that further. Then I divide that by the week. How many clients do you need every month to meet the income that you want? Then divide that by the week so you know how many clients you need to grab onto, or how many sales you need to make if you're selling a product. Whatever it is, whatever you want, divide that by the week. Then divide that by the day. 5 days, right? So just to put this in perspective, if you wanted to reach 1,440 people in 1 year as new outreach, right? Whatever number it is for you, I'm just going to use this number. You divide that by 12, that's 120 people every month. And so you might be still thinking like, wow, 1,440 people is a lot. 120 people a month, that's a lot. For some of you. Maybe some of you make that many phone calls in a day. Whatever it is for you, I'm just using a number. And then you divide that by 4, average of 4 weeks per month. That means 30 connections a week. And then if you divide that by 5, that's 6. 6 connections a day equals 30 a week, equals 120 a month, equals 1,440 a year in new connections. I'm just using connections as an example. You can do this math with whatever you want to obtain. Break it into small steps. Like you brought up that book John, take the stairs. That's exactly what you're doing. You know, I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they're looking for the rocket backpack to get them to the penthouse, right? They're looking up at the penthouse. I want that. And they forget to look for the elevator or the stairs. But if you just take stair by stair, step by step, you'll get there. And so the key thing is to make it what is sustainable for you. So to make this really clear, if you do your year, what you want by December of this year, and then you backtrack it out and the daily allotment is too much or too little, then you adjust. You either can go for bigger goals, or you say, you know what, I can't. Maybe I don't see how I'm gonna reach that. And again, that might be your own mindset right now, but I want you to check in with yourself, because if 6 calls is a lot for you, then make 3. Because here's the key, is if you keep making it repeatable, you're going to change your life. That's what you want. You want to be able to duplicate it every day. It's the consistency. It's the momentum. Momentum is going to win. So you want to just say, so again, find someone that's done it before and get as much of the system from them so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And number 2, build daily actions that you can take. So if you do this right now for the month of April, think how much better you're going to be sitting 30 days from now on the next clean slate call, and you're sitting there and you did your daily actions every day. Then you can be one of the ones sitting on this call saying you did everything you could and you're eagerly awaiting for the next month, instead of being the one, you know what, I could have done a little bit more. And I want to leave on this note, on this piece here, and then, you know, John, whatever else you want, is I tell this to a lot of my students. You know, I want you to think about, for any of you that's been on this call that have had a job before, where you had to go clock in or you had to show up at a job, and even I had jobs before. I did become an entrepreneur at 19, but before that I did have jobs. And I want you to think about a time that you were late. Your heart is beating faster. You're hustling to get there. Why? Maybe because you didn't want to let someone else down. Maybe because you're going to get yelled at by your boss. Whatever it is, you had your heart going. And most of the time, it's for somebody else. And what we're talking about in this call is showing up for you. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're going to show up for you. Right now, this is the time to show up for you. I want you, when you're late, when you do your daily actions, let's say you make your daily plan and you don't do it, I want you to look in the mirror and get upset about yourself. You know what? You didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the most important person to show up for?
Yep.
You.
Mm-hmm.
You. When the oxygen mask drops in the plane, who do they tell you to put it on first? Right? If it ever drops.
Yep.
It's going to be you. Because if you're passed out on the floor, because you let's say you are so selfless, which is awesome, you're helping other people, but in fact, then you're going to be the problem. You're going to be the one passed out on the floor that everyone has to go help. So the best way to be a leader, the best way to make change in the world is to start with you. Take care of you. The more financially secure you are, the more you can help. Think of Bill Gates. He's given billions of dollars away, with a B, billions. He's given away. Do you think if he didn't build his company and take care of himself first, he would have ever been able to do that? So the fact is, I want you to show up for you. So number 1, get a mentor. Number 2, make a plan for daily actions, not your annual goals. What are you going to do every day? Break it down to the day. And then number 3, show up for you. I know it's probably a little longer of an answer, but those they're huge, and there's a lot of lessons in each one of those. So I broke it down as short as I could, but that is the 3 steps that I would go kick some butt. So hopefully that was valuable for your group, John.
Wow. I mean, I'm sitting there just taking copious notes. I actually went over to my bag early on in this call, and I pulled out my journal. I have a special journal. I learned this from a previous mentor of mine, and that is Jim Rohn was a big fan of, you know what, get a journal to where when you read books, when you listen to audios, or when you attend seminars, that you can write down your best ideas in a journal, in a specific hardbound journal. And I got to tell you, man, I whipped out my journal for you, buddy. You brought your A game, and I really so much appreciate what you've done on today's call. You know, it's like I shared early on. It's like, you know what, I look back on March, and one of the things, I've been married, next month will be 19 years. And, you know, one of the things that my wife knows me, I mean, she just, after being together with somebody for 20 years, you know, you kind of get to know somebody. And, you know, she was on me over the past several weeks, and she's like, what is going on? And now I'm looking back on the month, and I'm just like, you know what, I did not step into my game. And one of it is you hit the nail on the head. Is like I've had the same mentor. I work with two mentors. One of them I've worked with since 1996, and the other one I've worked with since 2005. And they both have helped me tremendously. I mean, there's no way I would have been able to accomplish the things I've accomplished up to this point had it not been for those two guys. But one of the things I've been frustrated with is, you know what? It's time for a different mentor. I don't even want to say different, just another mentor, more of a specialist in the area that I'm going in. And so you hit the nail on the head. It's like there are mentors. We all have seasons in our life, both on the personal level, both on a business level. And one of the things that Steve talked about on tonight's call is that, you know what, mentors are extremely important. And I don't know about you, Steve, but I have mentors in various different areas of my life based off of what I'm trying to accomplish. And the type of business that I'm trying to build, neither one of my mentors have built it to a level that I'm looking to build it. And so, you know, I'm looking back on my month of March, and one of the things that we do on this call is you look at, okay, going forward in April, going forward in the second quarter, going forward over the next 9 months, what is one thing that you can do in your business, in your health, in your finances, in your fitness? What is one thing that you can do in the areas that you really, really want to improve in that you can take action on tomorrow that's going to make a difference? And I got to tell you, you hit the nail on the head. It's like I am going to make it a priority in the month of April to get that new mentor in the area that I really need. And so I really appreciate everything that you shared today. One of the things, I mean, I can sit and talk to you for hours, but at some point, you know, we're 5 minutes left. The call is going to have to come to an end. And so what are some ways that people can connect with you? You mentioned, I had mentioned to you when we were planning this call that, you know, our audience really loves it when the speaker gives them ways to connect to them, or if there's something that you got that they can connect with you for free, or something that you would like to give away. You know, explain to us how we keep in touch with you and how we can connect with you and plug in with you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, and again, it's been a pleasure being on this call. And as John said at the very beginning of the call, we both love to give tons of value. So if you do connect with me on social media and you message me, you're going to hear back from me, and I'm going to do what I can to help you and guide you. So my name is Steve, S-T-E-V-E, Napolitan. That's N-A-P as in Paul, O-L-I-T as in Tom, A-N. And you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. My website is also stevenapolitan.com. And what I want to do, I do want to give you a gift, and thanks for reminding me, John, about this. There was one other thing I was going to teach tonight, but, part of being a good coach and a teacher is kind of go with the flow, and we did, and everything I think was valuable tonight. But one thing I also wanted to share with you, because words we want to know the words our clients want. Remember I was saying, instead of me saying mindset, I'm saying capture your clients. Because, many of you want to capture clients, right? And then you still need the mindset. But I had to adjust my words, because if it was my way, I would have led with mindset instead of leading with capturing clients and those skills. And that came from me getting to know my clients. So the gift I want to give you is, how do you find out what your clients want? Here's the secret. Ask them. Ask them what they want. And I give a step-by-step how to actually do this. And what do you ask your current clients? What do you ask potential clients? And I call it survey to success. And I do it without calling it a survey. For us on this call, tactically, it's a survey. But on there, you're going to learn how to do it without calling it a survey so people don't get thrown back by it. How do you do it appropriately so it's quick and easy? And how do you actually start saying the right words? And all of it's in there. And what I can do is, if you actually text message your full name only with spaces, so put your first name, space, last name, space, and then your email, we'll send that out to you, the Survey to Success document. And the number you're going to want to send that to is 916-553-2885. So, again, that's 916-553-2885. And, again, you just put your first name, space, last name, space, and then your email, and we'll promptly send you Survey to Success so that you know the words to say to your clients to get them curious and committed to work with you.
Man, fantastic. Thank you so much for all that you've done on this month's call. I mean, this is one of those calls that you're going to want to download. And so I'll have the recording link up very shortly. You're going to want to download this call, listen to it over and over and over again, and make sure you connect with Steve. I'm going to put all of his contact information in the event invite, along with the information about how to get the Survey to Success. But my gosh, man, you knocked it out of the park, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. The biggest gift that anyone can give me back is tell me how they took action and what occurred in their life. And that's the gift that gets me on calls like this and gets me out there, because it just fills me up to see the results that all of you have. So I really appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Have a great evening, and look forward to connecting with you next month.
Sounds great, brother. Have a great night.
All right, man. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Go out and celebrate what you accomplished this month, and tomorrow it's a brand new clean slate. So go out and make it happen, and we'll talk to you next month. Have a great one. Bye-bye.